All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So today I wanted to dive into some history here. So we're going to talk about a strongman named Arthur Saxon. So this is a guy from the era of Eugene Sandow. Obviously, Sandow is the guy that the Mr. Olympia trophy is modeled after. So Arthur Saxon was known as the Iron Master, and he lived from 1878 to 1921, where he died at the age of 43. So at the time, strongmen primarily held jobs as circus performers and kind of going around on tour, performing these, feats of strength and these weightlifting things. And there weren't really any, competitions that they could do, like a powerlifting meet. There wasn't really that sort of thing around. They really just had to show off. So Arthur Saxon was famous for primarily either one of two things. Number one, obviously, being his iconic mustache, which Eugene Sandow and Louis Cyr both also had. So basically the iconic strongman of the time popularized that mustache. But the other thing would be that he holds the world record in the bent press. Now, it's not the bench press, it's the bent press. So essentially what the bent press is, it's a one-handed lift where you lift a barbell, not a dumbbell, a barbell overhead for as much weight as you can. So it's basically bending over and you're lifting that arm up over your head. So Arthur Saxon holds the world record, and that is 370 pounds on a barbell that he lifted overhead with one hand, or 168 kilograms. Now, some people claim that he actually lifted more than that, claiming that he lifted as much as 409.5 pounds. It just wasn't officially judged. So he actually did a variation of this bent press when his two brothers joined him in, performing in these strongman acts. They called themselves the Saxon Trio. And one of the things he would do is lift both of his brothers seated on a barbell in a bent press motion with one arm. So that's a very impressive lift. And he actually challenged anybody in the audience to match that lift. So going back to kind of the feud between Eugene Sandow and Arthur Saxon. So basically in 1898, the Saxon Trio, so Arthur and his brothers, were doing a show. And during that show, they offered a challenge to Eugene Sandow to replicate the lift that they were lifting with this bent press. So Sandow actually happened to be in the audience, so he jumped on stage to accept their challenge, and he ended up failing at the bent press. So Sandow was very popular at this time, and being defeated by this young Arthur Saxon was not a good thing for him, because in his contract, Sandow referred to himself as the world's strongest man, and that was kind of one of the things he was known for. That was his character. That was his moniker. So Arthur Saxon started toting this victory over Sandow. He started using it in his advertisements. He started using it to promote himself, that he was the guy that had beaten Sandow. So obviously, if someone has beaten you at a strength sport, you can no longer really call yourself the world's strongest man, because there's someone out there that's clearly stronger than you in a lift. So Sandow ended up taking Saxon to court, and the judge didn't really understand what the lift was, and he ended up declaring in court that Sandow had actually lifted the weight, basically saying that Arthur Saxon had not really beaten him. So after years of performing with his brothers, he would go on to write several different books. He would write the textbook of weightlifting, and he would also write the development of physical power. He wrote these in 1905 and 1910, respectively. Then he would go on to serve in World War I, where he suffered from malnutrition. And when he tried to continue his strongman act after the war, he was in too unhealthy of a state to really do that. Then he would go on to grow weaker. He would develop tuberculosis, and then he would develop pneumonia in 1921, which would cause his death at the age of 43. So overall, Arthur Saxon is one of the most legendary strongmen of all time. It's very important to tell his story. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and this little bit of history. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.